full spectrum wholesaling. And what I mean by that, we discovered yesterday, is being able to get seller leads. Okay. I like to use the scraper and texter, all right, which is in the leads trainings and stuff that we do here. You get leads, but you don't know what the leads are going to be. Okay. So how do you make all these leads fit your one strategy? You can't. Okay. So what I do is just a recap from yesterday. When I find a homeowner that is expecting, you know, purchase price, I'll find out what it is in the conversation. Okay. And then I'll find out what repairs may be. Okay. And then I know I need to make some money, right? So I can calculate with these numbers a maximum allowable offer, right? That's what we talked about yesterday, a maximum allowable offer. And that maximum allowable offer, if it gets me in the 70% of ARV range, then I know I'm probably good to go with contracting this because I can sell it to a fix and flipper. Okay. I know also that if it's beyond 70, nowadays it might go as far as 75%. Okay. So I'm going to change this to 75. Now, a lot of times when I'm talking to the homeowner, the numbers that he wants and the repair costs, they just don't fit that 75% of ARV. Okay. These numbers up here, the purchase price, repair costs, and my assignment fee, that's more than 75%. In this case, let's say it's 75% all the way up to 85%. Okay. Well, I'm going to go ahead and contract that deal because I know I can probably sell that to a buy and hold landlord. Okay. Now, I also want to check the neighborhood and see if it's a crime neighborhood and so on and so forth. All right. If it's a decent neighborhood, where people want to live, blue collar people, the working class, okay, that's who, I'll contract that deal right there. Boom. I'll get a landlord I'll find there to buy that house. Now, what if it's more than 85%? We were talking about doing then a creative solution where we offer the seller a lease option and we find a tenant buyer. Okay, pretty simple, right? So that's a recap of yesterday, but to build on that further, we mentioned it. What paperwork do we need with the homeowner, okay, on these different types of deals? All right. See, this I call this full spectrum because this gives me a wide swath of purchase price ranges and that I can use, I can work with. Okay. So much better than just being a ugly house wholesaler and being locked down here into this one category. So much better being a full spectrum wholesaler. Okay. So what paperwork would we use if we were going to do a ugly house deal where the numbers were 75% of ARV or less? What paperwork would I use? Somebody tell me.
Purchase and sale.
Okay, so a purchase and sale agreement. Also, I'm just going to let you know that's how I write it. PSA. Purchase and sale agreement. Okay. What else would we need? Right? An assignment agreement. Okay. What else may we need? This is me getting real specific with things, but what else would we need here? How about an invoice to title company so they know how to pay you? I'm just telling you, you need one. Okay. What is an invoice? Here's how you get an invoice. I've got a copy of one, but it's silly. It's a letter. You just write 2 sentences that says, hey, here's who I am. When it closes on this property deal, send me a check to this address or put it in this bank account or whatever your instructions are. Okay. It's just a letter. That's all it needs to be. Just communicate the information to them. All right. But that's an invoice. But you can go to WordPerfect or whatever, your thing is, your word processor, whatever your thing is. And you can actually get templates. They offer templates for stuff, and you can find an invoice template in there and then just modify it, put your address and stuff on it. Now you've got a nice looking template invoice for your business, which, you'd think this wouldn't be that big of a problem for people because an invoice is actually how you get paid. That means you're getting paid. So this is very important. Very important. All right. Now, PSA, assignment agreement, and an invoice to the title company. What else could it be? Although I don't want to get into it too much because we're going to save that theme for Steve. What else could it be?
Option agreement.
It could be an option, just a straight option, or maybe a flexible option where, it's not exclusive. Okay. Now let's slip down here to the buy and hold landlord. What paperwork would I need to execute this deal? Okay.
Purchase and sales agreement.
Okay. A purchase and sale agreement. And what else?
The assignment agreement.
Assignment.
Oh,
Assignment.
okay. Yeah. Assignment agreement. And what else?
It's the same one as above.
Yeah. An invoice to the title company. That's right. So it's exactly the same as the fix and flipper buyer. Okay. So not complicated, not complicated. What may be different between the fix and flipper purchase and sale agreement and what may be different between that one and the buy and hold landlord? Is there any differences here maybe that might come into play in the purchase and sale agreement and the wording? Anything I need to mention for a buy and hold landlord maybe that I wouldn't mention for a fix and flipper in that purchase and sale agreement? Anybody think of anything? It's not a trick question, but it's kind of a broad, generalized question. It's kind of a stupid question, really.
Well, I know on the fix and flip, they bond it as is.
How about rent?
Well, yeah, see, that's a good question. LaShonda, both of these probably are as is. Okay. Lou says rent. Okay. You bring up an excellent point, which I was hoping you would do. Okay. This is the one I had in mind. What if this buy and hold landlord deal has a tenant living in it already? Okay. Well, that's possible. It happens. Then you'll need to add some lines in your purchase and sale agreement that address, him showing the seller needs to provide the tenant documents and show records of receipts and so on and so forth. Okay. All right. That's about the only differences I can think of. All right. Now on a tenant buyer deal, what are we using over here? Paperwork wise.
The agreement, if it's light, the agreement memo.
Okay, yeah, okay, let's do it that way. We could do the flex memo, right? That's the
Right.
seller's lease option agreement memo, okay? That is actually an LOI, okay? Is there anything else we need with the homeowner if that's what we're going with? Not really, right up front. Because the rest of the paperwork I'm going to do after I locate my tenant buyer. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Okay. What else could it be? Okay. So actually, well, before we do that, let's go flex. The flex memo is all you would need on the front end with the seller. Now on the back end, once you find your tenant buyer, okay, once you find your tenant buyer, you're going to need what?
The assignment to the tenant buyer.
You're going to need a legitimate first right of purchase, which is also known as an option to buy agreement. Okay. Why do you need that? You already have a flex memo. Somebody tell me.
Because the tenant buyer is the one buying it, not you.
Locking
Well,
in the price up front in the agreement up front.
yeah. See, the memo itself is a letter of intent. It's a non-binding agreement. Okay, you don't want to assign that. Okay. So once you've located your tenant buyer, then you execute a legitimate, strong first right of purchase. Okay. This is just one way of doing this stuff, guys. This is just how I recommend you get started if you're brand new. All right. We're going to talk about a couple different ways you can do this. And then we're actually going to look at paperwork and stuff too. But all right. But it's good discussion here. First right of purchase is an option to buy agreement. It's an exclusive. Okay. The flex memo is non-exclusive. So do you guys understand why I say you got to go ahead and now after you found your tenant buyer, you need to execute a first right of purchase or an option to buy agreement. Right? Did I lose you? Where is everybody?
You're here.
Are you
Yeah,
confused?
Justin, I'm taking notes. So
Are you confused?
not confused at all.
Okay, let me ask y'all a question. Let's say I wanted to not do the memo. Could I get away with just skipping the memo and going right with the seller right away and doing an option agreement or the first right of purchase? Could I do that? Could I just tie it up like that?
Yep. And then assign that.
Yeah. 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 This is like water, guys. There's almost no way to F up. I mean, all right, it's really funny that way. The flex option memo, okay, if that's what they'll sign, get them to sign it. If they want something more strong or you want something more strong, go for the first right of purchase right away. Or you could use some other option agreement because that's all that first right of purchase is an option. Okay. Now, on that option, we refer to, the ability to lease as well, That's it. That's it. So, does that make sense, guys? I don't want to rush through this. Okay. But I also don't want to put you to sleep either. So, feedback is important for me.
So Justin,
Yeah.
hey, hi. So is that the only documents the tenant buyer is getting? Are they getting a lease agreement also?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. We're not done here. You're right,
Okay.
Addie. Yep. So what else do we need? So we start out the deal. Let's say we started out using a flex memo, the seller lease option agreement memo, which is really a letter of intent. Okay. After we find our tenant buyer, okay, our funder, whatever you want to call, okay, first right of purchase is the first thing we're going to need to execute. Who needs to execute this first right of purchase? Somebody tell me. Who signs this thing? First right of purchase, the option to buy agreement. Who signs this bad boy?
I would think you, if you were assigning it to the
Yeah,
intended buyer, because you're the one that has the, yeah.
yeah, you're exactly right. The homeowner and you. Okay. Right now, let's go a little further. What's another document we need?
The assignment.
Okay.
Oh,
Let's do the assignment agreement first, okay? Assignment agreement. I call it the addendum, okay, to the first right of purchase. But it is an assignment agreement. That is what it is. Now, who signs that?
You assigning it to the intended buyer.
Tenant buyer?
Yeah, me and the tenant buyer, right? Yeah, and if it's a cooperative lease option assignment, I might want my seller to even sign off on it. Well, it's kind of up to me how I set up the deal. Okay, so good job, ladies, knocking it dead today. You guys know what's up. You know what's up. Okay, so the addendum is to the first right of purchase. is an assignment agreement that me and the tenant buyer, my end buyer sign, right? Because I'm assigning it over to them. Very, very smart. Okay. Now, what else do we need? Anybody?
Rental agreement.
Okay. Before we get to the rental agreement, let's do that one last. What's another thing we need? Not mandatory, but I include it. Okay. I include it in the packet. A cover your ass disclosure letter. Who signs this? Anybody remember?
They do.
The tenant buyer does, the end buyer. Yeah. It says, hey, I understand what I'm doing here. Okay. All right. I understand that this house is as is. And I understand that this is non-refundable. I understand all of this. Okay. Just something to have. Okay. Makes you a little bit more solid, makes you a little more professional. Now, what else do we need at last? The rental agreement, right?
Justin, you don't need a CYA for yourself too, to show that you made all that disclosures to the tenant buyer?
Now they sign it saying, yeah, that's what it is. So that protects
Okay,
me.
so that protects you too? Okay.
Yeah, that protects me because they can never come back to anything now and say, he never told me it was non-refundable. He never told me that this house was as is, and he never told me this and this and such. No, here it all is, and you signed off on it, man.
I think both of you are signing off.
That's the CYA disclosure. And then there's a rental agreement. Who signs the rental agreement?
They do.
Okay.
Both of them.
Y'all said they do. What do you mean?
Owner and tenant.
You and the tenant,
Owner.
right?
Tenant. The end tenant buyer.
Yeah. The seller and the end tenant buyer. That's it.
So like,
You guys have successfully structured the paperwork. You have. Okay. So now you understand what goes where, right? Okay. So let's talk for just one more second about it. If I didn't use the flex option memo up here to begin with, the seller's lease option agreement memo, if I just went with the first right of purchase right away with the homeowner, does that change anything going through the rest of these documents? Yes or no?
No.
no.
Doesn't change a dang thing. No, you guys are right. Okay. All right. So there's that. All right. Now let's real quick before we jump on to the actual paperwork. I don't know what time it is, man. Oh, okay, we got time. Let's talk about this. Sometimes when I'm talking to homeowner, when I'm calling leads, I get that fix and flipper worthy kind of seller. Okay. So it would be good for a fix and flipper. I sometimes get a seller that's good for a landlord. Okay. I sometimes get one that I can make work for a tenant buyer. Okay. Steve would say, hey, I get those and I make them seller finance. Okay. Nothing that I'm saying today is like the way. Okay. All right. It's just how I do it. All right. So there's a lot of that's the thing about real estate. There could be 100 billion different coaches and all of them would tell you something different and it all worked just okay, you know? So this is just how I understand how I do it. Okay. Now, what if I call a lead and it ends up being a wholesaler? Okay. What do I do? Somebody tell me.
JV.
Okay, I could JV with this guy, a JV opportunity. What paperwork am I going to need to do a joint venture with this person?
That option, that document that Brandon had, the option, option to purchase.
Okay, right. Option to purchase agreement. Now, I'm going to add in here an optional JV, non, circumvent, blah, 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 blah. Okay. If you want to have a long-term relationship with this guy and he's going to pass more deals to you, it makes sense to just have something like that in place between you guys. Okay. Do you still need the option agreement? Yeah. Right? You do.
No more questions.